actually. Let me change this real quick. Yeti. Okay, now let's test it. There we go. Got my voice coming through loud and clear. We are streaming once again. This is one little test we're going to do. Can you folks hear me okay on Discord or not?
Yes, I can hear.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, let's try this. I changed some settings. We're about to get into this. Folks, I'm not going to repeat myself again. I've done this. This will be the third time on our false start here, I guess you could call it. Anyway, we're about to pick up. If anybody has any problems hearing me, I'm speaking to my players, let me know. It is the second day of the month of Desnus, which is basically early spring, in the year 4719, Galarian. We find the day coming to a close as we join our small group of companions gathered around their favorite table near the hearth of the rowdy Rockfish Inn. Barrick, the dwarven cleric of Saren Ray, the Dawnflower, leans back in the thick oaken chair. The wooden mug clasped between his hands feels good, yet somehow it is no solace for all that has transpired the last couple of days, weeks. Barrick the dwarf's eyes begin to fog as he stares at the burning embers of the close-by hearth to his right. His mind begins to wander. Wander to moments of darkness where fear and the unknown rule the night. His mind reflects on the near-death experiences he and his newly found companions endured. Kobolds, dastardly dragonfolk, how they would strike from the shadows with screams and hisses like he has never heard before in his life. Rats the size of small dogs, strange voices of lost gods emanating from stone statues. Madness, he ponders. It's all but madness. His mind shifts, as do his eyes, glancing at each of his new friends. Farley Tell, the youthful elf, with magic to rival even that of his own. The shadowy character who calls himself Ramirez, once at death's door, spared such fate by the Dawnflower, Saren Ray. He has surely proven himself an asset, if not trustworthy. Sigrid, her sword, spear, and shield always at her side. Curious how she has kept to herself as of late. Nonetheless, a strong woman indeed, a woman of the north, the Saga lands. And now, heroes of Otari we be, Barrick thinks to himself. Slayers of a dragon. Strange that be indeed, Barrick ponders, raising the mug to his lips. A cheerful giggle suddenly breaks Barrick's wanderings. His eyes shift once again to the form of a newcomer to the companions, one known only as Mariandale. She is a curious sort, being strangely both pallid and dark at once. She seems to have some kind of magic about her. Of what source this power none can tell, thinks Barrick. Perhaps she serves Nethys, the god of magic, or perhaps she is more of a power unto herself, one they would refer to as a sorceress. Who's to say? Just then, Barrick feels a sudden rub against his leg. Looking down, he sees a pair of golden eyes, almost aglow, staring back up at him. Looking upward towards Mariandale, he sees he has been caught, her eyes glaring at his. It ends with a quick smirk from the pallid lady. Barrick shrugs to himself as he pulls yet another deep swig from his now almost empty mug. Meow. As the mug hits the table in front of Barrick, he is suddenly startled to find Mirandel sitting mere feet from him, where before she was at least a few strides away. Excuse me, fair lady. You seem to have startled me with your sudden appearance before me, Barrick exclaims. No, no, do not be startled, Miranda replies. I just wanted to thank you for helping us today. You managed to fall upon me and Zeke quite at a fortunate moment, she continues. You are indeed welcome, says Barrick. Next time, look us up before you travel below the wretched Undercity. It would save us all much time and suffering. Barrick pauses, looking back to the burning hearth. He continues, where is this Zeke character anyway? He seems to have wandered off from our little gathering here tonight. Oh, Zeke, he's a fine fellow. We met many weeks ago after his arrival here in Otari. He is a man of the woods, nature. A druid, he would be referred to, Mariandel explains. I believe he has left us for the moment. He spends his time in the nearby woods, glades, and streams. I'm sure we will see him again soon, she goes on. Barrick, looking somewhat satisfied, leans back in his oaken chair. I should have guessed, he says. Another man of magic among us. Surely no mysteries can hide from our eyes now, he says somewhat jokingly. Mariandel nods in agreement, a smile coming to her face. The conversation continues, but for a short more time, before Barrick has finished yet another mug of the dry ale. More pressing matters than mere drink and greetings are at hand, Barrick thinks. Putting the mug aside, he looks at his companions and quietly gathers their attention around the table. Celeste, Neb, you've been listening in and watching these so-called heroes of Otari. They seem to have defeated a dragon under the town. You guys are somewhat newcomers to Otari. You've been listening intently at these so-called heroes and watching them and listening to their discussions. What do you do? Speaking to Neb and Celeste, you hear them. What do you do? You're kind of sitting in this tavern, kind of to yourselves at a table, maybe a dozen feet away, paying close attention to these guys that are in like a central location in the tavern. What do you do? What do you think?
What? Neb turns to Celeste and just to make conversation, he likes to hear, or he likes to feel all the quiet moment with some sort of a noise, be it whistling, humming, or talking. So he turns to Celeste and just goes like, "So, what do you think about these so-called heroes?"
So Celeste, she's just been listening and observing, and she wants to find out more about these dragons. So she says, I want to listen more. That I can't tell yet about them, but I want to hear more first.
Neb is somewhat disappointed because he senses that there is more quiet in the table coming up, so he just disappointedly says, "Okay."
Ramirez hears their conversation, looks at Neb, and who are you, Neb, and where are you from?
Oh, Neb is very surprised but delighted, and he starts to introduce himself. Oh, I haven't introduced myself properly, have I? No, I am a juggler. I was traveling with a circus. It was a while ago, but yeah, everybody kept changing in the circus. Their old guard, they retired or died naturally, and when it became apparent that it was a situation that I didn't know anybody from the circus anymore, actually they were all new people, so I dropped off, thought to see the world. So here I am, and well, you can say that the road is my home mostly. I've been with the circus as far as I can remember.
It's at this point that Barrick kind of interjects and says, "And who was this tall one, this maiden? What an odd pair you are. How did you meet, anyway? Come, join us at the table and explain yourselves, since you seem most interested in our conversations." And Celeste, Neb, do you join them at the table?
Celeste gets up. She's wary, but she gets up, calmly walks over. She gives a slight bow and introduces herself. She says, "My name is Celeste. I've just gotten to Otari recently. I'm here to learn more."
That's good. And how did you meet? And it's at this point that Celeste begins to explain how Neb and Celeste came to be and found themselves here in Otari. "It was a sunny morning," she goes on, "not but a few days ago. I was walking the great road from the north leading to Otari, as it turns out. On the way, perhaps a mile outside of town, I came upon an encampment of travelers. I was well greeted, as much as I expected. The food was decent enough for a weary traveler. However, I could not but notice what sounded like commotion." Neb interjects, "More like a fist fight, I should say," his floppy hat jingling with all its adornments. "They almost killed me. If it was not for you," Neb explains. Wish I could do your voice better, Neb, but that'll have to do. Yes, but surely it was nothing. They only wanted to make spectacle of you," Celeste says. "And what did they do to you? Please go on," inquires the dark character Ramirez, who has said very little so far in this night, preferring to listen instead. "Well," Celeste continues, "as I approached this fight, I found this cheerful fellow Neb. Turns out the folks at the encampment did not appreciate his ill manner of what he would call entertainment. The anger group had cornered the little fellow, hurling apples and stones at him as he tried desperately to escape," she says. "Escape death and doom, I say," explains Neb. Looking up from the goblin, Celeste continues, "I said a few things about what is right and what is wrong about this situation, and with that I myself came under fire of this mob." "And she lunged forward with such speed," interrupts Neb, "swiping my fine little body up in her graceful hands like a cat grabbing a mouse. She dodged through those ungrateful people, leaping atop a wagon and off towards Atari. It was truly amazing." Neb finishes, looking up in awe at the elven lady known as Celeste. "And that is our story," Celeste finishes.
Ramirez nods and dismisses the story as minor.
Celeste notices this, and she just gives a little smirk. But she does look down at Neb and give him a genuine little smile.
Neb is, if no one can make it in time, going to continue just going like, oh, and there were so many of them, and they hit hard, and they were just all muscle and brawn, and so it goes on like that. They
What is your business here, Ned?
me, I just followed Celeste here, as she's the one who saved my life, and I'm eager to see the world, and why not start at Otari?
Ramir.
Sorry, Ramirez, your voice was cut out there.
Ramirez looks over to Celeste inquisitively and says, "What is your business here? Why are you here?"
I told you. I wanted to learn more. I overheard you speaking of dragons. Why are you here, Ramirez?
This is my place.
Okay.
Neb goes like, are you the mayor?
One day I will be. One day.
Wow.
Barrick, what's going on? Why are we here? There's something going on. You asked us to be here.
I just wanted to gather ourselves and make sure everyone was fine. I mean, we just met these people in the caverns. I must say, I also wanted to let everybody know that I'll be taking leave of our companionship, at least for a few weeks. I'm going to be taking up some studies at the Dawnflower Library. I have some information I want to observe. That, and I want to see to my good friend.
You ain't chasing that woman, are you?
Oh, no. My friend Devon is there. You know Devon, you remember? He got lost and was being treated for at the Dawnflower Library.
I remember.
I'm going to be seeing to him and making sure he's well, and also doing my research. I have some mysteries to solve, my friend. But I wanted to gather everyone together and make sure that, that's what I'm doing. And in the morning I should begin my studies and get back to Devon.
What mysteries are you searching for? Looking at?
Lazy, do you want to interject here and do a little Barrick for us?
Yeah, so Barrick, I'm sorry, he doesn't have a voice, so I'm playing him in third person. So Barrick explains he feels that it doesn't matter if the newcomers and the old friends now know. So he tells that he has been plagued from a young age with a visions of dying world, and he feels an evil presence in those visions and dreams, and the presence is always so strong that after these visions it follows him even when he's awake and aware. So it's the reason why he has been traveling and studying, and it brought him to Otari because there was this famous library and he really wanted to study there if there's anything he can find about this thing that is following him. So this is the reason why this is what he is looking for, answers in the library.
Ramirez falsely empathizes with Barrick and asks that Barrick to keep us updated on his condition and what he finds in the library.
Barrick, being a bookworm, doesn't pick up on the falsehood of the emotion, and he feels like perhaps I have been wrong to mistrust Ramirez all this time, and he promises solemnly to keep you all updated.
Celeste looks between the two, Ramirez and Barrick, as they're conversating. And she turns to Barrick and she asks, "Sir, have you ever seen this presence? Have you ever heard it speak?"
Barrick answers that the presence has never appeared in any form except an dark feeling that sucks the light and joy out of the heart of him, and it has never talked about anything except that the vision itself might be a message from this presence. It shows what is going to happen. The fields will be running with blood and the sky is just a gloom from where lightning strikes the barren ground. So it might be that is what the presence is trying to say to him. If it's a warning or a promise that so will come to be, he doesn't know. But the only thing that the presence gives out is that it has a very ominous aura around it.
Celeste nods to this. She has a lot of thoughts running through her mind, but she quiets them and just nods and continues to listen.
Barrick, of course, being empathetic, says to Celeste, after explaining and seeing how she reacts, says that something along the lines that don't mind it too much, it might be just a mistake, that it's only nightmares or such, and don't worry yourself too much with it. I will have to deal with it myself, but not saying it out loud, he's just fearful of the matter, but trying to give out more cheery feeling to the lady.
Celeste can pick up on Barrick's fear that he's trying to keep inside, but she doesn't say anything. She just nods once again.
Okay, the conversation continues. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss or carry on with before we move the story forward?
Barrick, how long will you...
Sorry, the voice got cut off there a bit.
Barrick, how long will you be gone again?
Barrick just shrugs his shoulders and says that he's not quite sure. He tries to be quick with it, but there are so many books and scrolls he has to go through because the library has collected some very interesting works of occult, and he hopes to find the answers there, so he cannot really say.
Ramirez nods and give my regards to Devon.
Barrick promises to do so.
And the night continues. Mariandel, you pretty much... I've lived in Otari for some time now, and it's getting late at this point, and you stay with one Rin Savixi, who's in the northern portion of town. You could check your maps and you'd see where that location is. But, you kind of feel the pull to get back to her. It's a little shop, of course. You help her here and there, but you also do your studies. If anybody's interested in that location, it is on the map. It's entitled Rin's Wonders. It's a little signpost to the north. Can you guys see the little icons on the map? You should, the little white icons.
Yeah, they are there.
Yeah.
Alright, if you double click them, you can open them. And what would you like to do, Mariandel? It's getting late. Would you like to head back? Or do you have anything to interject in the conversation so far? You're grateful to them, and you're definitely interested in keeping in touch with these so-called companions, heroes of Otari, as many people are rumored to be calling them.
Yeah, Marindale has been listening closely the conversation, and she's been looking at a young little goblin, and she asked him, "Don't I know you from somewhere?"
Neb is looking at Mariandel, and he says that you seem somewhat familiar, but I quite can't put my finger on it. Have you been to one of my shows in the circus?
No, but I have been traveling along with one group some years ago.
Oh, now I know. You were the fortune teller. You read people's palms and their star signs.
Yes.
Ah, so we have met.
Yeah, that must be it. But you've grown a bit.
Well, of course, I was a young lad when you were in the circus, and it's so long time ago. And do you remember that spell you cast on me? It required a long time for me to get rid of it. I guess I shouldn't have taken your cards.
I don't remember any spell.
Yeah, well, it was a nasty one.
Ramirez laughs.
Must have been someone else.
I'm quite sure it was you, but well, anyway, it's somewhat nice of meeting you.
Marindale smiles a little devious smile, and then she says that it's getting late and maybe she should get back to Rin's wonders.
Getting hungry, are we?
Maybe.
All right, and she turns to leave and head out the doors. It is getting dark. I would say maybe 3 hours before midnight, somewhere in that line. And she makes her way back to Rin's Wonders. Now, what are you others going to do? You got any plans? You going to meet up? What's your plan at this point? Particularly you, Celeste. What's your plans? And you, Neb. You're currently gathered together at this table with Marianda, who left, but there's also Barrick the dwarf. There is Ramirez. And, of course, Farley Tell, who's been suspiciously quiet, closest to the hearth, but he is a member of this little group, and he's been listening in as well.
Celeste.
Farley, what is your character doing right now as you witness these events?
Farley is sitting there watching or listening to Celeste and Neb talk about their past, and they are flipping through the pages of their spell book right now. Sort of almost like a nervous tick almost. They just keep flipping through page after page after page until they reach the back, and then they go to the front of the page and just flip.
Mm-hmm.
And when the story, when they finish their story, Farley sort of closes the book shut and snaps back to reality and goes, dreadfully sorry to hear all that, but I think I'm going to be turning in. This conversation and the social aspect of this is starting to get to me. I'm going to move to a little further away for right now.
And how about you, Ramirez? What are you doing as Mariandel walks out of the tavern?
Remembering my first encounter with Mariandel, when I walked in the door with Barrick, I just laugh to myself quietly as I understand what she's going to do.
Okay. Now, you've actually met Rin Savixi while you were on your expeditions underneath Otari. You did actually visit her little place there. She had all kinds of interesting trinkets and such, so you are familiar with Rin. But you never seen this particular woman, Mariandale. You never seen her before.
Yeah, I've been to the shop before, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And if you recall, you've only been in town maybe at this point about 3 or 4 weeks, a month. So you do have a kind of feel for the town itself, especially the underside of it all. So you are familiar with the town. And as a reminder, so is Farley Tell. He's been here for months, and he currently vacated his previous residence. He was living with the other gentleman. I can't think of his name. He was working there as well. What is his name? Oh, Morlabent Galvanus. And is kind of making his own way in the world. So, Farley, where are you currently staying? Are you staying at the Rowdy Rockfish? Is this where you're going to turn in?
I think that's what's the plan.
Yeah, I think that's what we worked at. So you're going to make your way upstairs in the Rowdy Rockfish. And When all's said and done, Barrick will make his leave as well. He follows Mariandel out the building. So there we go. Now, is there anybody that wants to do anything else at this point? As some of the characters are making their way to the upstairs to their rooms, and some are leaving. Is there anything else you'd like to do?
Neb is running after one character after another and just keeps asking, "Can we be roommates?"
Celeste looks at Neb. She has a small bit of pity, and she says, "You can come with me, Neb."
You can witness as Neb throws some like a flip in his place because he's so excited and yay, thank you.
Okay. We'll go over that later on, but you'll be getting a room there to cost you so many coins per week based on the type of upkeep you want to have, like only the best, so you're going to pay more, or just, mediocre, a single room, that kind of thing. We'll get into that later. So you guys will take care of that. Now, Mariandel, as you make your way through the streets of Otari and all the way back to Rin's Wonders, you're greeted with an image in the backyard of the building. You immediately catch the shape as it moves. It's tall, and it is the image of Rin herself. Now, for some reason, I'm not able to share pictures. I don't know. Are you guys seeing the pictures pop up on your screen?
I see Farley right now.
Yeah, you can close that whenever you want. But for some reason, it's not popping up on the video that I'm broadcasting. I don't know why that is. Sorry, folks. I'll have to work on that later. But let me find Rin here real quick. There she is. Show to players. You should see pop up on your screen a picture of this tall person in the back. Now, Mariandel, as you draw closer, I assume you're kind of drawing closer. You do actually have dark vision. You can actually see the gray and black outline and shadows of this, and you recognize it as Rin herself. She has her back to you, and she's staring off to the east, upward. What would you like to do?
I approach her and let her know that I am there, so that I don't scare her.
Okay. And as you draw closer, before you even get maybe within 6 feet of her, she senses your presence, obviously. "Welcome, my child. Where have you been? Look to the east. Do you see it?" What do you do?
I look to the east, but I'm not sure that I can see what she's talking about exactly.
Hold on a second. Do I even have this map loaded? Darn it, I don't think I do. Hold on. Let me look at my maps here. No, I don't see it. Island of Cortos. Oh, darn it. Alright, so I was going to show you another map. I'd have to load it. But anyway, to the east, it's well known to you, is the lighthouse, known as the Gauntlight. And she's staring off in that direction. Now, I'd like you to make a perception roll as you look off in that direction. This can be a public roll, so just go ahead and roll a d20, and it's a perception check. A d20 plus your perception modifier.
A moment.
Take your time. And let's see what Meriendell sees with her dark vision.
It's 17 plus 6, so it's 23.
As you stare off into this blackness, in that direction of the old Gauntlight, which is an old lighthouse well fallen into ruins. It's not used anymore. But as you look off to the east, it's dark. It's completely dark. You only see the stars. However, as you start to focus in more on the Gauntlet location, you do see something unusual. It looks like a light bluish glow coming from the Gauntlet. You could just barely see it. Do you see it, my child? Look, the glow, the Gauntlet. Surely you see it.
Yes, I can see some blue glow that hasn't been there before. What does it mean?
I am not sure. I have seen it for many nights. It has made me a bit unsettled, as you know. But I have seen it. It glows stronger every night that passes. Something is amiss in that lighthouse, I tell you. And of course, you know Rin. She's very much into this occult stuff and mysteries, and she's always gossiping and looking for things. And part of you kind of feels like maybe that's what it is. It's not a big deal, but it is unusual. You did actually see that blue light she's talking about, and that is unusual. And you start to take pause and you think and remember the old tales about the Gauntlet. One in particular comes to mind, and you start to go through it in your head, and it goes like this. When the fog is creeping and the moon is low, when the town is sleeping, Gauntlet starts to glow. That's when she arises. For her midnight lunch, naughty kids are prizes for her teeth to crunch. But if you obey me and obey the rules, you are safe from Belcora. She just eats the fools. Such is the tales, such is the sayings of Otari. Something told to little children that misbehave late at night is that little rhyme. And it goes over in your head. You've heard it many times. It kind of makes you think and be a little bit suspicious. What could this be? Your thoughts immediately go to your friends and your newfound companions. What do you do?
I wonder if there is some truth to that old tale, and if I could get the adventurers go with me to check what's going on in there. And I also tell this to Bryn. I explain to her what I've been up to lately and what has happened to me, and that I met this group of adventurers.
Adventurers, you say? Would it be those heroes that slayed the dragon?
Yeah, so, or at least so they keep telling.
I see. And she kind of turns fully towards you and grabs your shoulders gently. Just, you come inside. We will have our late night dinner, and tell me more about your friends. And she invites you back inside. And go ahead.
I'll go inside with her.
Okay. And you go inside, and she has this several rooms inside here. You walk through this main room where all the trinkets and items of mystery and that she sells are located. And in this back room you're guided in is like a little place where she likes to set and cook meals, and you and her sit and discuss things. And she seats you down. She has some warm tea and brings over a small plate she had heated earlier. And you see some fine little meats and tasty leaves type things. And she says, now tell me, who are these heroes? I heard they slew a dragon. Is it true?
Well, I've heard some whisperings about that, but who knows?
Yes, I agree. Who knows? It could all be just tales. But nonetheless, they are quite known in Otari. I am concerned about this glow coming from the Gauntlet, my dear. I would ask you, would you bring the companions here? Maybe even tonight. I fear it is a little bit of urgency. Perhaps they will go and investigate for us. I have my suspicions about what might be happening. I have seen it for nights. Now, could you do this for me?
I can try and ask if they would be interested in.
Yes,
Though I must admit that they saved my life back there. So
my child, what do you mean they saved your life? What happened?
I got in a bit of a trouble with some in the dungeons underneath
Dungeons?
town.
It seems you are taking up the adventurer heart yourself. Well, finish your meal, my dear, and then you bring them to me before nightfall, and we sleep. And with that, she brushes your shoulder once again and takes leave as she goes into a basement area where you know that she does a lot of her studies and goes through her trinkets and such. But yeah, she offers you to finish your meal. And as you do so, we cut back to the Rowdy Rockfish. Ramirez, the crowds are dying down now. It's about 2 hours before midnight at this point. Barrick has gone his way. Celeste and Neb have talked to the innkeeper and made arrangements for their stay here at the Rowdy Rockfish. And Farley remains as well. No, actually, he headed upstairs, didn't he? He went, see you guys, I'm out of here, and went to sleep. It's just you now at the table. What are you doing at this point? And Celeste and Neb, are you there, or are you going to head up to your room now, or are you going to continue conversing with Ramirez?
Neb is going to cling around Celeste because he knows that she is in control of the room, so he doesn't want to risk sleeping yet again under the open sky.
Celeste wants to hang around for just a bit longer. She's watching Ramirez. She asks him, "Is it true about the dragons?"
Ramirez?
Ramirez responds and says, "Of course it's true. Why, we're popular right now."
Celeste doesn't indicate her slight mistrust, but she asks again. She says, "And that man Barrick, what do you think of him?"
Barrick's fine. He's going to do his own thing. It's actually good that he's not here, because if we get he's likely going to injure someone, if we get in trouble.
Why do you say that?
He has a history of injuring people when he's healing them.
Does it have something to do with this presence he feels?
No, he's just inept at healing people.
Neb intervenes at this point, trying to get a story across that, hey, I have a story about I almost cut off this juggler's hand when I had to help him to patch up some wounds. Do you want to hear it?
Sure, let's hear it.
Sure.
Yeah, so he was juggling some knives and he got cut really bad on the shoulder because, well, I crept up on him as he was performing and he got startled, and then one of the knives just came down directly at his shoulder, and I was going to save his life by patching up the wound, but then I tried to wiggle the knife away from the wound, and he said that I'm just going to cut his arm off, and he punched me, and when I woke up there was nobody there anymore, and I don't know what happened, but I hope he's okay.
Well, we know not to give you a weapon.
Oh, don't worry, I have plenty.
Everybody makes mistakes, Neb.
I think that too. I just seem to make quite few of them. At least that's what people keep telling me.
Well, I know where you're going to be. You're going to be out front.
Oh boy.
Or we'll gag you and shut you up.
Celeste glares at Ramirez. Don't you speak to him like that.
He scoffs back and, well, while they're busy looking at you, I'll do my thing and, you can absorb the shots. Just keep down or you'll live longer.
Neb nods, and, well, he's been a bit like a puppy because Celeste has been defending him, so he's just like going around her feet, looking at things, on the interesting things on floor and on the walls and so on. He doesn't keep much in one place, but at this point Celeste is like the best friend he ever had.
Celeste puts a hand on Neb's head as he skitters around her feet, trying to calm him. She says, "Come on, Neb. Let's go upstairs and rest." And she gives Ramirez one more look. Not exactly a dirty look, but just a neutral glance, as if to say, "Good evening."
Ramirez cocks an eyebrow and eyes the situation as just weirdness. Very weird. Gets up from the table, gulps his drink down, and walks outside.
And as you begin to head towards the exit, and Celeste, as you begin to head up the steps, in suddenly walks a familiar face, a pallid one. From the darkness and shadows appears Mariandel. Go ahead, Mariandel. You're face to face with Ramirez as you re-enter the Rowdy Rockfish.
Hello again. I heard that you are these great adventurers, and I might have an adventure for you.
You didn't find someone to eat, did you?
Merindale just looks Ramirez and says nothing.
Celeste, what do you do? Do you continue upstairs, or?
Celeste pauses on the steps and on Neb's head. Low.
Do you have him in your arms, kind of holding them as you're taking them around?
Yes, scoops him up so that he won't try to just run up all skittering up the stairs, and she puts a finger to her lips as if to tell him to be silent. And they listen.
All right.
And they
Okay, at this point, I'd like everybody to go ahead and make a public perception check. Just go to your character sheet or your icon, your toggle, your HUD. I don't have tokens on the map, I don't think, so open your character sheet and click on Perception. Do I have tokens on the sheet?
Neb's token was missing. Yeah, now it's there.
All right. You just click on your token and you could access your perception check roll there. It's basically a d20 plus your perception modifier.
Okay, so Celeste has rolled 13 plus, I have the plus 5.
Yeah, you're an 18, Celeste. Ramirez got a 15. Somebody rolled an 8. That's Farley Tell. Oh, Farley's sleeping. You're not there, Farley.
Sorry, I'm having a bit of a trouble because
Take your time.
No.
It's fairly easy to notice, particularly for Mariandel. She's quick to spot that the barkeep himself and another gentleman behind the bar with him are looking in your direction and just intently listening in, it looks. You all pretty much notice this, except Neb, who's totally oblivious. His eyes are locked on Celeste. But everybody else, you all notice this. But anyway, go on. Just something you've noticed.
I've noticed the voluptuous Mariandel in front of me, too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how do you react to her presence? What do you say? She just said something there to you, so go ahead and react to that.
Mariandel, what is it you want? What's this adventure? Obviously, you didn't feed on anyone yet.
There is something strange happening in near the lighthouse, and my boss Rin is really worried about it, and she asked me if I could get you to come with me, and if we could go and investigate what is happening there.
I look over at Celeste. Did you hear this?
Celeste looks back at Ramirez, down at Neb, then at Mariandel, back at Ramirez. She said, "I'm listening."
Is this a party, or is this going to be a fight?
She tells me.
So, I think there might be some trouble ahead of us there, but I'm not sure.
I was looking to get laid tonight. I didn't want to go fight.
Celeste scoffs at that, covers Neb's ears.
All right, let's go check it out.
Neb is feverishly struggling to hear what is going on.
Celeste says, "I'll go too. But first, let me put the little one to sleep."
Ramirez, Hell no, bring that little one with us.
Neb just jerks his head to the side so that he can get a word in the middle. And yes, I wanna go to. I want to see what's going on.
Merindale looks at Neb and says, "Well, bring him along. He might be useful."
Yes.
Celeste looks at Neb and quietly asks him, "Neb, are you sure? It may be dangerous."
Neb eagerly nods and says, "Oh, thank you, but I really want to help if you get into any trouble."
Okay. Well, be careful.
I promise. And he has his little fingers crossed behind his back.
Okay, got a new map loading.
So, Mariandale will follow you to the location.
Okay,
Right.
let's go.
So you're heading back to Rin's?
Yes.
All right,
I have
go ahead.
one question. What about Farley tell if he was in his room? Did anyone tell him, or can we just trust him to arrive there?
That's up to you guys. How do you want to handle it? He left. He went up to the upstairs. You bang on the door, I guess, or talk to him in the morning.
Celeste, go tell Farley. Tell him to get his ass down here.
If she knows what room he's in, she's brand new to this place herself. She'll be banging on all the doors. Yeah, you want to do that, Celeste? You want to go up and explore and look for Farley?
I'll ask the innkeeper what room he's in. I'll get him.
What is that, lady? What are you looking for? He speaks to you as you approach the barkeep.
I'm looking for someone named Farley Tell. He's
One of the heroes. Yeah, he was just down here. All the way upstairs at the end of the hall. He's the room on the right.
okay.
Arr.
Thank you. As Celeste goes up the stairs, she hopes that the innkeeper doesn't have any misconceptions about why she's going up to the room.
Don't worry, Millie. I understand things. You treat them right, customers. Yes, okay. And he goes back to cleaning the mug. Okay, you make your way up the steps, I assume, and you head down to the end of the hallway. It's easy to find. It's right there. Farley, what does she see when she cracks that or knocks on that door? How do you respond? Are you in one of your meditative states as an elf? Which she would be herself would be quite aware of. Elves typically meditate instead of sleep. Go ahead.
Yeah. I guess when she knocks on the door, there's
Hello?
a brief moment of silence before you just hear a book slam from the inside, and you just see the door swings open, and Farley is like 6 feet back from it, with one of their hands extended, and it's like, you're one of the people that was at the table before I left, right?
That's right. Celeste doesn't enter the room, but stays right outside the doorway, cautiously. They're requesting you downstairs. They sent me up here to find you.
Is it dragon business?
I'm not sure. Mariandale came back.
All right.
us to join her.
I cautiously put my hand down to my side, and I go grab my staff, and I'm gonna head down. Go back to the table.
And Celeste follows.
And as you turn to leave the hallway, Celeste, you notice, you have good perception, decent perception. You notice a door kind of slowly shut. Somebody was listening.
Hmm.
All right.
Celeste
Go ahead.
Celeste decides to approach the door that was shut and puts her ear up against it.
All right. What is
See
your
if she
what is
can
your
decide.
what is your perception modifier? Here, do this for me. Make a blind perception check. Just choose blind GM roll for your check. That way you don't see the result. And I'll tell you what you hear, if anything.
Oh, okay. Blind GM roll. Okay.
You hear some shuffling feet and then silence. It sounds almost like somebody just rushed to get back in bed. That's what it sounds like.
Celeste knocks on the door.
Yes. May I help you?
We saw you listening to the conversation.
I'm sorry. I won't do it again. I just heard noises.
Is there something you need to ask us?
No. Good night. I'm sorry.
She shuts the door, but she keeps this in mind.
Oh,
And this
you opened the door? I thought you knocked on it. We're talking through the door. Did you open the door?
No, she didn't open it.
Okay.
She says, "All right, have a good evening." But she files this away, the room and the voice.
All right. It's the second room on the left. Just put that. I'll know what it is. Second room on the left. Make a note. Second room on the left. Okay. All right. You head back downstairs. Nothing else happens. And you now find yourself gathered together, ready to head off to Rin's, correct?
Yes.
All right. It's getting late at this time. I got still about 2 hours before midnight, but it is getting late. And the inn usually closes shop around midnight, so you guys can probably still get in, but you'd probably annoy the barkeep, where you been, so you mentally note that you want to be in before midnight, or you'll be shut out. Okay, and you make your way to Rin's. Some of you are familiar with these alleys. It's along the main street, actually, and you make your way. There's few people on the streets at this time. Occasionally you see somebody talking with somebody else on the street, making their way to some destination, but that's it. Nothing unusual. Typical night in Otari as midnight approaches. And as you get to this one particular building, which is kind of outlandish and fancy, exotic, that's the word we're looking at. You can see it. It isn't completely dark in the streets. There are lamps. So you can just make out the building. It is unusual and it does stand out. And this is, of course, Rin's Wonders. Ramirez, you recognize it. Farley, you've known about it. And, of course, Mariandale. Celeste, Neb, it's new to you, so you make your way up to the front entrance and come in. And as you do, as the door creaks open, and you step inside this candlelit entryway where the main wares are presented to would-be purchasers. You could see standing in the doorway just opposite where the kitchen would be. You could see standing there looking at you this tall silhouette of a figure, Rin Savixi, as Mariandel and Farley Tell would recognize, and Ramirez. And, welcome, my friends. Come to my kitchen and be seated. I have questions for you.
So we are walking through the store.
Yeah. It's about a 20-foot square area, just crammed full of stuff on the walls and oddities and all kinds of nifty-looking things that you pass by and make your way into what she refers to as the kitchen. And here, it's a little bit more brightly lit, and there's a central table. It's bare. There's nothing on it at the moment except for a candle that's lit, and there's several other candles lighting up the room. It's particularly brighter than you'd expect for the number of candles present, but it's brighter than the entry room that you walked through. And you all take a seat, I assume?
Yes.
Neb keeps on his feet and he longingly looks towards the part where all the cool stuff are, and everybody can hear him going quietly by himself like, "Ooh, that looks nice."
It is tempting. Anyway, you're all seated. You can all pull up a seat. She has enough seats for all of you, actually. And she begins to ask you some questions like, are you the heroes? The heroes that so-called heroes that slew a dragon? Would this be correct?
Ramirez ignores her question and yells at Neb to put it down and get over here and stop messing with her stuff.
Okay.
I'm here, Neb, Celeste says. Sit.
He takes a seat next to Celeste.
Rin Savixi keeps her eye on you, Neb, as you make your way over. And kind of smirks. And she goes on to ask you, are you the heroes that slew the dragon?
Farley rubs their temples and is like, yes, we are. Somehow we did it. I don't know. But yes, to answer your question, yes, we did.
And she looks at you, Farley, and she reaches to touch your shoulder, and she kind of leans into you and says, under the weather, perhaps, are we? She asks you.
More like a constant headache.
Ah, I feel for you, my friend. Perhaps I have something for you. But anyway, first things first. You are the heroes indeed. I would ask you, do you know the tales of the Gauntlight?
Celeste shakes her head no.
Yeah, do I? What is it called? The Tales of the Gunlight?
Do you know about the Gauntlight? One word. It's basically, You would know. It's basically the name for the lighthouse that used to be a lighthouse, a functioning lighthouse, a long time past. But you don't really know anything more than that. It's just a ruin, rundown, and all that. It shouldn't be glowing lights. Okay, you would know that.
Mm-hmm.
And Rin goes on to explain how she's been seeing strange glows emanating from this lighthouse. And Mariandel, I assume, would verify this. She saw it herself. And Rin would point that out. And the conversation goes on, and she says, if you were up to it, I would ask you to go and have a look, perhaps. You are adventurers, after all. It could be of great import for the safety of Otari. But be warned, the tales of Bekora surround that place.
The Tales of the Korra?
Belcora.
Okay.
Let me see here. If anyone would like to make a recall knowledge history check on Otari's past, we'll see what you might know about Belcora.
Oh,
And- Yeah, let me look up the actual spelling here so I get it right. I don't want to be pronouncing it different ways here. Belcorra. Belcorrra. And while you discuss this, I'm going to disappear for like 30 seconds. Give me a moment. Let's go ahead and discuss that.
Farley,
Yeah.
what do you think we're getting into?
It sort of sounds like we're getting dragged into a similar situation with that thirsty alpaca place, that burned down tavern.
I agree.
Yeah, ghosts and weird creatures. You'd be surprised how often those mix together, actually. Ghosts and weird creatures.
So,
Well,
you already encountered some weird creatures apart from the dragon?
you're here, aren't you?
Yeah.
Leave him out.
Farley, do you think we should, based on the last incursion we had,
1 second, Byron.
what?
1 second. Can you guys see the map I have displayed?
It just looks like Otari from like a up-down perspective for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, the Gauntlight, if you look to the northwest, you'll see this one road going up past a little pond, cutting through the woods, and close to the shoreline. You'll actually, it's a bog up there. It's a marsh, I should say. And that road leads to the Gauntlight. You would all know about this, except perhaps Celeste and Neb, but you guys know about this. You know the location of it. And you could zoom in if you want and all that sort of stuff. So that's the location we're talking about here. That's where the Gauntlight is located. Located in what's known as the Fog Fen. Okay, so go on with your conversation there. Sorry.
Well, based on our previous experience, really, and how it didn't turn out too well, I'm very cautious about rushing into this one.
What happened last time?
Farley, go ahead.
Yeah, we sort of began. We've heard tale around this old ruin, if you will. It used to be a tavern called the Thirsty Alpaca. We heard tales of some strange activity, some lights, some noises coming from inside of it. And upon investigating, we had not exactly seen, but encountered some creatures there. And then there were some. And as we went to get closer, we heard even louder screams and noises from inside. And we sort of turned back around. At the time, it was only me and Ramirez at the time. The rest of our groups were separate, so...
Based on this, I think we're going to have to assume that we're dealing with the same entities.
At least something similar.
Merindale looks at those two and says, "So then you have prior experience, so that's good. And were you supposed to be these famous adventurers and heroes?
At the time, I wouldn't say famous, but a little bit more infamous. I believe the guards weren't exactly happy with how we were handling the situation, and we weren't getting their nod of approval for investigating that, so we looked like thieves to them at first. But after a little bit of clearing up with the captain, it seems to be straightened out now.
Well, what I gather, gods are always like that, a bit uptight.
No, always.
Celeste just observes as she doesn't fully trust any of them. That what they're saying is true.
Neb is just happy sitting next to Celeste and dangling his little feet from the chair and kicking them up and down.
Celeste gets a little impatient with Neb kicking his feet, so she puts a hand on his knee firmly to stop him.
Sorry.
Ramirez looks at Ren. So what do you want us to do, Ren?
Well, I'd like you to investigate, to go and to see what might be there. She's very concerned about the glowing light that she sees, and she begins to invite you to the backyard, where she has a view to it, and she invites you all to have a look and see if you too as well can see the glowing blue light. And with that, go. Let me see here. Let me make a quick roll here. Okay, now, do you all go out to the backyard and have a look?
Yeah.
Celeste.
What was that, Anna? Anna, can you hear me?
Nobody could.
Yeah.
Yes. Celeste does. She picks Neb up, and they go out to have a look.
I was just going to say that nobody's able to keep Neb away, even if they wanted to, but now he doesn't need to try to sleep to the back door.
Already knew Neb wouldn't sit still, so she just picks him up.
Yeah.
All right, so everybody that's looking, except Mariandel, because she's already done this, go ahead and make a public perception roll, just for fun. Because you know there's something glowing there, but go ahead and everybody roll. Let's see who can spot this glow, because it is quite faint. So just roll d20 plus your perception. Just for fun. And also, Anna, I sent you a whisper message.
Oh, okay.
It'll be in the chat.
How do I find that? I'm sorry.
Dun, dun.
Curtis, how do I find the whisper message? Is it?
It'll be in the chat. Only you'll be able to see it.
Okay.
Just look at the chat.
Okay.
Did everybody make their rolls? I see a 6. Somebody rolled a natural 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. And then Neb got a 7. Ouch.
I had 13 plus 5 again, so.
18.
All right, Ramirez, Celeste, you have no problem spotting the slight, it's so slight, glow coming from the direction of the Gauntlight. It's a very light blue. Neb, Farley, you're too under the weather. Headache's driving you crazy. Neb, you're just too occupied. You're staring at Celeste. Just can't make out that blue glow in the distance. Go ahead.
Ramirez turns to Ren and says, I see what you're talking about, but what's in it for us?
And she looks at you kind of intently and she says, well, the well-being of Otari, of course.
When is that concerned me?
All right, Byron, don't throw our campaign off again.
Neb intervenes after that and says to Ramirez, well, you said you were going to be the mayor.
I'm sorry. That's just funny. I had to say that.
I'm laughing at Neb.
No, there'll be no Abomination Vaults adventure this week. No, at the end of that, we're going to investigate being a mayor of town instead. Oh, jeez. All right.
Celeste just shaking her head.
Well, I want some kind of compensation for this, Ren. You owe us. Each of us.
One second here. I can offer you my help, my support. If you need me, I can help you. But I'm only asking you if you are not up to the task, my friend. That is perfectly fine for me. And she looks to the others, past Ramirez. She looks to you, Celeste. Will you help and investigate?
I will. But what's in it for us?
Oh, dear God. And she looks to you, Mariandel. Surely you will lead this little expedition and at least see what's causing the light to go, my dear.
You can count on me, says Mariandel, because she has spent quite some time with Rin and considers that they are kind of friends and she wants to help her.
Okay. Neb, do you interject here at all?
Neb is just listening on what's going on. He doesn't want to play his lot quite yet until he knows what's going to happen.
Okay, and then she turns to you, Ramirez, and she ponders and thinks for a second. I will give you what I can. I will give you 10 gold pieces. And that's actually a lot. That's 100 silver pieces for the group, just to investigate and see what's going on. But she assures you that this is of great importance. Now, I'm going to leave you guys to discuss this possibility. You can go into the other room if you want and talk privately. But Mariandel, you definitely know that you trust Rin explicitly, for one thing. And you know that if she is concerned about this, then it is something to be very, very concerned about, regardless of any payment or anything like that. It's something you would probably pursue and do on your own, if you could. Farley, I'm not sure how your character would react. You're kind of like a mercenary at this point, but you do know some of the background on Gauntlight about where it is, but not too much. Mariandel, you know quite a bit more. You did actually have that rhyme going through your head. You might want to bring that up with the other characters and maybe mention that. Belcora, the mysteries of Belcora. And if you guys want to ask Rin more about Belcora and that whole background thing, you could as well. But yeah, please. Whatever you'd like to do at this point. If you like to speak amongst yourselves in another room, you can do that. But she does offer you, Ramirez. Sorry, Anna. 10 gold pieces for the group, not individually, just for the group, to maybe help you on the expedition. That's about it.
I'll take it up front. Thank you.
That's it. Discussion over. Okay, well, off we go, folks.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Celeste asks Mariandel to elaborate on Belcora.
Mariandale tells the tale that Rin told her earlier.
Okay.
And
Celeste.
let me think. Let me pause here and think for a second. Mary Andel, you don't really know much about Belcora outside of what I've told you. However, Rin is willing to reveal some information if pressed, which you're doing at this moment, Ramirez. And what she tells you is basically a long, long time ago. Belcora was this very powerful, some say magical being who dwelt here in the Gauntlight. And this was back in the founding of Otari, in fact. The heroes back then was a group known as the Rose Guard, and they were the founders of Otari. And word has it that they confronted Belcora and defeated her at the very ruins of the Gauntlight itself, where it said she dwelt, her and her minions. So it said. And she was defeated there. And that's where the story comes from. Some of the members of the Rose Guard actually founded Otari since then. This is quite a long, long time ago. But she can reveal that to you with her discussions. She's willing to share that with you. So you know that, Ramirez.
What are you hoping to find confirmation of, Ren?
She's not really hoping to find anything. You get from it, it's a concern. I will say that you're relatively new to town, but you have encountered her before, and you know Rin is somewhat of a type of exotic personality. She's always interested in the occult and the unknown and things like that. And you might have picked up some rumors about her. You know, she's one to be a gossiper and to always look to be suspicious of things, being of the occult sort of personality. She is, of course, what are they called? Half demons? She's a...
Tiefling.
Tiefling, yeah. Which is a half demon. In her case, she's also part elven. Hence, she's so tall. But just to let you know. But you don't really know much else about her. Maybe Mariandel knows a little bit more, but that's for her to reveal. But yeah, you can get that out of it. So, yeah. Story of Belcora.
Well, we'll take the money and get some supplies that we need. What kind of creatures do you think we're going to be encountering? Farley and I encountered something on the west side of the Otari not too long ago that sounds like what you're sending us into.
Well, you all generally know where it's located and the road that leads to there, especially Farley and Mariandel. And speaking with those two, they would tell you that, yeah, it's not like a lot of deadly creatures live in there, except there is quite a few wild boar. You want to watch out for those, maybe. No clue what might be dwelling in the ruins itself. There could be anything in there. But, yeah. That's about all you can get out of that.
Well, let's go.
Yeah, let's get going.
All right, it's about an hour before midnight. Pitch black. Keep that in mind. Do you want to go now? Or do you want to wait till morning and buy supplies? What would you like to do?
Meriendel is basically good to go right away.
Neb,
Celeste says we should wait till morning and be prepared with supplies.
Neb would be eager to go right now, even though it wouldn't suit him the best, but he agrees with Celeste that perhaps wait until tomorrow, and he's like a little kid on the Christmas night.
Whee! Adventure. All right, so what's the final word here? What are you going to do? Heroes, companions, you guys need a leader, a speaker for the group.
I suggest we all go get healing potions before we head out.
I
Alright.
agree.
So you want to do this in the morning?
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll do it in the morning. We'll wait till the morning.
All right, so I guess in the meantime, you're all going to head back to your place. You'll do your shopping in the morning. You'll get all prepped, and hopefully before late morning, you'll be on your way. It's only about 3 miles. It'll take a few hours to get there. There is a road leading there. It's seldom traveled, but there is a road. And again, the map is presented to you, so you can see where that route takes you, that road takes you. And you'll be doing this in the late morning, early afternoon. So if that sounds like a plan, it's doable. I'll let you guys do some purchasing of equipment. How about that?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Before we get started, we'll move forward here in time. Spellcasters, you guys can now prep some new spells for the day. So go ahead and do that. And everybody else, you guys can go through the items list in the rule book or here on Foundry under the items icon and look at your gold, your treasure that you have, and feel free to buy anything that's in there. Run it by me first, because I know that in Foundry they actually list stuff from all across the rule books and stuff. So there's stuff in there I might not want you to have. Basically, the things that are available are in the core rule book. So if you want to look at the core rulebook items, there you go. Anything in there. I believe there's minor healing potions. You can get those here in Otari. In fact, I think Rin has some herself. She can offer you for sale. They are expensive.
No, she's providing them for free.
No, you get your 10 gold pieces and you purchase everything else. If you don't want the job, Ramirez, you're welcome to stay back, and we'll continue your adventures separate. God. Work with me, man. Work with me. No, I'm only kidding. Let me look at the page number in the rulebook for items. You can go to Chapter 6, page 288 is the listing. Anything from there, that whole chapter, in fact, you got healing potions, holy water. A minor healing potion will run you 4 silver pieces at a different shop, of course. 4 silver pieces.
I have one question. Are we going to have a break at any point?
You can do it now if you want. Right now we're just shopping a little bit.
Yeah, I think I need to get again something to eat, but I'll be
Alright,
short
Lazy.
back.
Alright, Lazy, go for it. And we'll do our shopping here real quick and move forward.
I'm going to load up on some healing potions, but not from Ren's shop.
Okay, it's still going to be 4 silver pieces. And once you've made your purchase, find them in the items directory on Foundry. Just put in the search, what is it called? Minor healing potion. And once it finds it, just drag it onto your character sheet. Make sure you deduct the appropriate number of silver pieces. Okay? And if you have a question about the availability of anything, let me know.
How do I get the character sheet to pop up again? Outside of... go ahead.
Go to the actors directory. That's the one next to the Tiffany box. It's the skull. Click that, and all the characters you have access to will show up, and basically just double click Ramirez and it'll open up. I believe it's on one of those pages of your character sheet under equipment. Let's see, double click Ramirez. Let me drag your tokens onto the map. Might be easier for you. And if you have access to your tokens on the map, you can just double click those and it'll automatically open your character sheet. There. So I put your tokens on the map. They're on the north side of town. Right at the wood edge.
Yeah, I'm going to buy some healing potions.
You can do that.
Yeah. So I actually have to go here soon.
Okay.
So
we got
I'm there?
about another half an hour or so, and if you can.
I could do half an hour.
All right.
What is it under equipment? The healing potions?
On Foundry?
Yeah.
Go to the Tiffany box on the right menu,
Mm-hmm.
you know, where the skull is. That's your items directory. Click that, and then open the folder that says equipment. Scroll down till you see the equipment folder.
Yeah.
Open that up, and it just gives you a slew of stuff to look at. Run it by me if you want something, because there's stuff in there that is from all over the place. If you know the name of something, you can just type it in the search items thing at the top, and it'll usually find whatever's associated with that term, like healing. Or just ask me.
Yeah. Minor. Ooh, wait. Minor is 4 gold pieces?
4 gold pieces for a minor healing potion.
Yeah.
That is expensive.
Mm-hmm. Let me double check in case I'm blind. Yeah, 4 gold pieces. Scrolls with a common first level spell, 4 gold pieces. Holy water and unholy water, 3 gold pieces. We don't have any alchemists with us, so we'll skip the alchemist stuff. I don't think you guys have a lot of money, so at least Celeste and Neb.
No.
So your shopping's easy. I'm good to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys are probably good to go. Make sure you got things like torches and basic things like that if you're there for a prolonged period of time. Maybe some food. If you intend to camp there or make your way back to take a break, you can do that too. That's an option. But beware, there is dangers on the path as you are going through a wooded area. You never know, wild animals and beasts, or maybe the occasional kobold or goblin. Melon heads ahead.
So a minor potion is 4 gold pieces?
Yes.
I just deducted 4 gold pieces from my inventory and increased to 1 healing potion.
Okay.
I had 3 total and 1 lesser healing potion.
Okay. Make sure you have healer's kit. That's always useful. For those medicine checks. You need at least 1.
Everyone got rations, bedroll, chalk, thieves. Well, I have thieves sold.
Yeah, and my equipment bundle came with soap. So if we need to wash all the blood after the dungeon, we're all good.
Yeah. Toxins.
If everybody's good, let's go.
How do I see in my backpack what I have?
Click on backpack and it should open up.
Okay. It just describes it.
Let me open the sheet. There's a little button there somewhere. Just go ahead and experiment. See if you can find it. It's not letting me open the character sheet for some reason.
Oh, I see. Container contents. Okay, so I have a rope, a water skin, chalk, flint and steel, rations, torch, bedroll. Okay. Good.
So, I had enough gold pieces to buy 3 healing potions of minor, if that's all right, Alan.
Minor.
Okay. Yep.
They're 4 gold pieces each.
Yeah, I knocked it all down.
Okay, it sounds like you guys are already stocked up. Somebody's got something you need. So you should be good. And spellcasters, go ahead and do your spellcasting preparation. And also for the witch, if you look this up, Mario, I'm leaving this to you, but your familiar gets, I believe, 3 abilities every day. This is when you actually decide what those are.
Okay.
Do you know all about that? Or we can just leave it as it is?
Yeah, I can check. I have the book, so...
I know you just bought it. The Advanced Player's Guide. Look out, folks. She's got the Advanced Player's Guide. That's a good book to get. There's another one for the list, Anna.
Yes.
The one thing about Pathfinder, and Starfinder for that matter, is Paizo puts out books monthly. You're getting all kinds of new content for players and GMs and every single month. They put out a ton of stuff. It's at a point now where you can't buy everything, but you got to really think, boy, what do I really need or want for my game? You got to be you got to be picky, I think. Otherwise you go broke. Cripes. Let's find this page. It's on page 214, Mario. Animal Companions and Familiars.
Yeah.
And your page that you're after is on page 218. And there's a paragraph that says, each day you channel your magic into 2 abilities. For you, it's 3. Which can be either familiar or master abilities. There's 2 categories, familiar abilities and master abilities. If your familiar is an animal, which it is, it's a cat, if your familiar is an animal that naturally has one of these abilities, for instance, an owl that has fly speed, you must select that ability. Now, your cat doesn't have any of these abilities, I don't think. It's just a walking cat. Your familiar cannot be any cannot be an animal that naturally has more familiar abilities than your daily maximum familiar abilities. So basically choose 3. You can choose a familiar ability and 2 master abilities. You can choose two familiar abilities and a master ability.
Okay.
And the reason why you get 3 is because you're a witch and they have a special ability, but it is limited to, I think, I don't know if it has to be a familiar or a master ability, your third one. I don't remember. But you do get 3 of these. And they're pretty simple. They're nothing. You just make a note. Might even be on your character sheet, I'm not sure.
I don't know if I can put that on the character sheet, but I'll write it down to the paper.
All right. And while she does this, is everybody good with the spells prepped for the day? And we'll move on.
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Okay.
I believe I am, yes.
What's this? Weather effect. Ah, good. We're going to put some rain. Because as the day breaks, right before you go shopping, you're greeted with a slight downpour. It's a wet day, kind of miserable. You've all gathered at the Rowdy Rockfish to make plans and get yourself in order. 10 gold pieces should do it, you say, as you go out in your various ways and gather up your gear and equipment, all packed and ready to go. You've agreed to meet back here at the Rowdy Rockfish and decide your next move. By this time, it's about mid-morning. We'll say about, in our time, about 9:30, right in there. It's a cloudy day. And yes, the rain continues. What would you like to do? You got your shopping done. You've learned pretty much all you can, I think, from Rin. She's eager for your reporting back.
Look at, what is it? Mariandel, Neb, and Celeste. And I go, I've procured for us 3 healing potions of the minor variety. I'd like to keep one for myself. I'm a very gaunt person already, and I don't need anything in there chopping any more weight off of me. But I'd be willing to hand over 2 to you both, or to one of you 2, if you wish, or I can just hold on to them for now.
Neb is eager to carry them for you. I will put them in my backpack. He holds out his empty hands towards you.
Should I give both to our little friend here, or does somebody else want one as well?
Mariandel says that she's fine. She don't really need any, so Neb can have them.
Celeste will take one.
Okay, so I'm gonna give 1 to Neb and 1 to Celeste then, and then I have one myself.
Okay, make your notes.
So there were minor healing potions.
Yes.
Okay. Neb admires the bottle that the red liquid is in, and he then puts it very carefully to his backpack.
Celeste stashes hers away as well.
Okay, give me a little marching order as you head out in the direction of the Gauntlet on that road. Who's going first? Are you side by side? Who's second? Who's last? That kind of thing. Just give me a little marching order, because you never know.
The goblin goes first.
At this point, the goblin doesn't want to leave the side of Celeste.
Celeste says, I'll go first. Neb, stay behind me.
Well, do.
I hear Byron laughing.
Mariandel follows Celeste and Neb right behind.
Where are you, Farley?
I'll be either last or second to last, if I can.
Okay, Ramirez?
I'm always last, you know that.
All right, so you're behind the elf then. And off you go through the woods. It's wet, it's miserable. The sun barely makes an appearance. It's cloudy. It takes a few hours of travel. Nothing really happens outside of some rustling in the brush, perhaps you come across, but pretty much it's a safe little journey as you cut through this dark woods of sorts. Let's look for some text here to read you. But you do arrive. And I'm going to change our scene. And also put the weather at raining here. Let me add some drizzles on the map here. You should see some little rain trickling. Can everybody see the new picture?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Little ambient sound.
Actually, I don't know if it's meant to be, but there is another portrait of Celeste in the map.
Yeah, I see that. It's hidden behind my player thing. Let me get rid of that. Delete. For some reason, on my other laptop that's capturing the video, it's not capturing any pictures or icons or tokens. For some reason, it just shows the picture of the Gauntlet. That's unfortunate. I'll have to fix that. But anyway, you guys should see your tokens on the map as well, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The sound of frogs and mosquitoes mixes with water slashing against muddy shores as a light drizzle comes down. All is muffled by the ever-present mists that linger in the aptly named Fog Fen. As the mists clear, a shadow looms from the claying swamp vapors. A sprawling ruin of stone and wood squats atop an island in the soggy marsh. The upper floors can be seen have largely collapsed, leaving only the stone walls of the ground floor intact. You can see this as you draw nearer. Above these ruins, however, towers an out-of-place monument, a colossal lighthouse whose painted walls and iron-cased crown have resisted the corrosive effects of the surrounding swamp. This is the Gauntlet. Gotta wait for my map to load. Any questions?
No, I think.
As you move forward, you're following this path, all right, where the road is kind of led to. And you're basically in a fen, a bog, a marsh. It's wet. It's horrible. It's miserable. There's a drizzle of rain. Even though it's like, late morning or midday, actually, by this point. It took a few hours to get here. It's just miserable. You're surrounded by overgrown shrubs and brush. And about 30 feet in front of you, Celeste, you can see what looks like doors. A tower stands before you. And as you draw closer, you can see that this tower, it might be about 30 feet in width. It's like a what you would see if there was a castle. This would be the what do they call it? The bastion. And on one side is the bastion, you got this moat, and then you've got the castle proper. All right, you've got this little bastion. I forget what it's called. And it's about 30 feet in front of you. You see these doors. They don't look very stable. They look kind of rotted. And you also see what looks like water, thick water, flanking each side of it. What do you guys do?
Celeste looks around. She turns to the rest of the group. She asks, "Is everybody ready?"
Neb just nods, but it is obvious that he is a bit scared.
It's creepy.
Merindale says that, yes, I am ready.
All right, you approach these doors. Now, it's very overgrown. I mean, the walls have weeds going up. It goes about maybe 12 feet high, and it looks like the one time there was a parpet here. Those little, you know what it is, when you look at a castle. It looks like at one time there was that, but it's all kind of fallen in, and it's kind of flat at the top now. It's just overgrown stone. You see moss covering it. And as you draw closer, 15 feet, 10 feet, 5 feet in front of you, Celeste, there is these two great doors. And they look pretty rotted through, but they still block your way. What do you want to do? Well, here, let me read you some text. I believe I can read this. Swaths of mildew and mold cover the damp surfaces of this watchtower, appearing as green and black smears on the dull stone walls.
Celeste first tries to push the door open.
Easily. No check required. The doors just easily almost fall off the hinges as you push your way into here. It's a completely black room. Even though it's daylight outside, you might have to light a torch.
Let's light a torch.
The room fills with light. The door frames in the walls of the north and south rotted long ago. As you peer into this room, you can see another pair of doors opposite you, right within your torchlight. About 25 feet from you, from the entrance, you see another pair of doors. You see some collapsed chairs that are scattered on the floor. Small heaps of what seems to be foul-smelling gray lumps. You don't know what that's about. Thick sheets of dusty cobwebs hang from above, obscuring any view of a ceiling. But it doesn't look like the ceiling has collapsed.
Celeste asks quietly, if anyone can identify what the gray lumps are.
Neb can take a peek. He has a dark vision if it helps in this at all.
Ramirez also looks.
All right, so you're all entering the chamber?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
all right.
I'm going to roll a perception roll for detect traps and things like that.
What exactly are you going to be looking for traps? The door, the insides? You're in the back, mind you. You'd have to
Right.
jump to the front and lead the entry if you want to do that.
Right, we've already entered the door, so I'm looking around the room.
All right, as Celeste and Neb enter the room, suddenly you hear... Let me see. Let me look real quick. I don't have my thing open. Darn it. I think Farley recognizes this language. What languages do you know, Farley?
One moment here.
I normally have this on my screen, but I don't have my screen here. It's not on the options here.
Yeah, I know Common, Dwarven, Elven, Gnomish, Orcish, and Undercommon.
All right, let me see here. All right, Farley, you're the only one that understands this, but as soon as you guys enter the chambers, Celeste and Neb, you suddenly hear some voices, some loud, high-pitched voices, and you recognize what's being said, Farley. You can share this with the party.
Come into our chamber, please. Come in. There's good things in here. We have treasure in the heaps. Come into our parlor.
And I assume you tell the other members of the party this.
Yeah, Farley sort of like leans back from wherever the voice is coming from and sort of goes, it appears not only are we not alone, they're trying to lure us in with some sort of treasure.
And as you're saying this, you hear laughter, high-pitched laughter, and it's coming up from the ceiling somewhere. You can't see where, but there's these high-pitched voices and followed by laughter. Let me see here. What is... Let me look real quick. Let me make a roll real quick. You can tell it's fake voices, Farley. It's obvious something is trying to imitate another voice. Something's lying. Something's faking something here. You recognize this, Farley. But anyway, the voices are inviting you. You hear at least one or two voices. They're inviting you in. And come on in and check out these piles of stuff we have in here. There's treasures hidden in the piles. And then you hear little laughter.
The moment that when I realize that this voice is fake, I'm gonna go ahead and use the cantrip Detect Magic, and I'm gonna send out a pulse. I'm trying to see the range. It's a 30-foot emanation from me. See if I can pick up on anything.
Other than what you already know about and have identified, you don't sense anything. Now, you're standing in the doorway, so that's pretty much most of the room, if something was in here. The room is kind of like this watchtower. The inside of it is kind of like a T. It's kind of like a cross. And from north to south, it's about, let me see, 5, 10, 15, 20. It's about 25 feet, all right? And East to west, it's another 25 feet. And it's in the shape of a kind of like a cross. All right. And you can pretty much tell that you're not sensing anything in the room with your magic. And you're standing in the doorway. Ramirez, you're still outside behind the elf. So before you had a chance to check for anything, the party kind of entered in. Celeste in the lead, followed by Neb. Mariandel cradling her little kitty right in front of the elf. Farley tell.
I'm gonna go stealth. And make.
All right, you can do that. You'll have to get out of the light. The torch is being held by Celeste, so you're going to kind of have to hide in the corner behind the door in some way. Otherwise, it's fully lit where you are. You'll have to back up a little bit outside. There's just too much light inside. Do you still want to do that?
Gotcha. I don't have a map loaded on mine to see that. So
I know. I don't have one up. I'm trying to describe it as best I can. Theater of the mind.
Oh, you're doing good. You're doing good.
It's been a while.
I'll hold off on that just right now. I'll just follow Farley's lead and go in the door.
So yeah, what would you like to do? You're hearing these voices say, check this stuff out. Doesn't seem to be any magic in the area.
I look to my teammates and I'm like, we're all hearing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's not specific, it's more in some sort of aura or haunting situation. I mean, I hate to let my curiosity get the better of me, but I think to find the source of it, we need to follow the rabbit down its hole.
We came this far.
I agree, Farley. Let's go.
Come take the magic pixie dust. There in the mounds. Shh, watch.
What do I know what language this is? I know I can understand it.
Oh yes, it's Undercommon.
That's what I assumed. I go, oh, the magic pixie in Undercommon. I just start like calling out to it and sort of like almost in like a mocking tone, like, oh, the magic pixie dust, yes. I'll definitely grab that. Totally.
Right.
Why don't you show me where it is, little voices?
And as you look, and as you say this, there to your left, all right, in the northeast corner of this chamber, you can see what looks like a mound. And it's just this big 2-foot-high mound. And as you draw near to it, it kind of smells pretty nasty. But as you hear the voices and look up through the cobwebs, you can see movement. You see little shapes. Maybe it looks like some type of humanoid, maybe 2 or 3 foot tall, perhaps. But they're hiding up there, and you see boards that they might be walking on with cobwebs all over. It's very thick. They're hard to see, but you definitely see movement and some type of creature up there. Now, you have low light vision, right?
Let me double check. I'm pretty sure I do.
Yeah, so everything's bright light to you in this room from the torch. So you can see it. Also, Celeste, you're probably keeping your eye on this as well. If you look up, you also can see the very same shadows of movement. There's something up there. Speaking Undercommon, according to Farley. They don't seem to be threatening or attacking. They're just trying to coerce you towards this little mound that Farley is pointing at this point. And go ahead and, that's magic pixie dust. You want to partake?
I'm going to whisper to Farley saying that it's probably them damn kobolds again.
What are you doing, Neb?
I am going to cast the spell Dancing Light.
All right, put that in the chat so I can read it. Okay. You create up to 4 floating lights, no 2 of which are more than 10 feet apart. Each sheds light like a torch. When you sustain the spell, which takes an action when we're doing combat anyway, you can move any number of the lights up to 60 feet. Each light must remain within 120 feet of you and within 10 feet of all others, or it winks out. Casting time 2, duration sustained, 120 feet. It's a cantrip, so you can cast it at will. And yeah, you could light up the entire room with that. It's already pretty lit, but...
And I'll raise them up to the cobwebs so that perhaps we can see a bit better the things that are lurking there.
Okay, go for it. You want to describe what this looks like for us as you create these balls of light?
Yeah, they are small spheres, and it's not a... I imagine it wouldn't be a steady color that they hold. It's a yellowish orange, a bit sometimes turning into a bit bluish light slowly, and they just float, and Neb just guides them with slight hand motions to rise up towards the ceiling, and they spread their bright lights.
Neb kind of steps forward. His hands start intertwining together, and as his, let's see, it's somatic and verbal. He begins to hum a strange tune that only he knows. And as he does this, weave this magical energy, you sense this, Farley. Suddenly these lights suddenly appear before him, and they start dancing and flickering around, and they're very bright, and it lights up the whole left section or eastern portion, or western portion, of the chamber, and they begin to rise, and as they do, all the cobwebs begin to appear, and you see wooden planks, some of which are rotted through. Obviously, something has been walking around up here, and those planks are gingerly placed between the ceiling and where they're located. And there, you just manage to catch a tint of blue flesh and pointy ears and a big smiling maw of open teeth quickly disappears as the creatures realize they've been had. And immediately, they begin to rush and clatter towards what looks like some open sky. There's a hole in the northwest corner of the ceiling, and they seem to be clambering out of it. But before that happens, we need to roll initiative. So let me start an encounter here. I'm going to ask everybody to, well, first of all, let me add you to the combat tracker. Right-click on the second button from the left, where the skeleton is and the Tiffany box. The second one from the left, it's called your combat tracker. Right click on that so it'll open for you. So I want you to do that. And I'm going to add you to the tracker. It should be populated by all you guys. And as well, I'm going to put something else in there. Now, everybody's using perception for initiative, so just by default, that's what it does. Go ahead and roll that symbol of the D20. Just go ahead and click it, and it'll give you your results for initiative. And I'll go ahead and roll for these little creatures. If I can get to them. I think I pushed the wrong button. Let me add them to the tracker. You won't see them, I don't think. You shouldn't. But let me roll their initiatives. You won't actually see them until they actually act in the round. And with that, it begins. Ramirez, you're on to this. You see what's happening. You've been paying very close attention. You were thinking about getting stealthy and hiding some shadows, but there was none around. And as you've entered the chamber, what do? You look up to the left in the ceiling there, and you can see shadows of movement. It's not well, actually, it is clearly seeing. You can see what looks like some creatures moving around, rushing towards a hole in the ceiling. You see about 3 of them. What would you like to do?
First of all, I'm going to take an action and raise my shield.
All right, that's 1.
Second action, I'm going to draw my crossbow.
Okay.
And third action, I will take aim and fire.
All right, it's going to be a hard shot. They've got cover and concealment. So what I'd like you to do is... No, they don't have concealment. They do have cover. Go ahead and make an attack roll with your crossbow bolt. You are at range 20, about 20 feet. Just make an attack roll. This is public. You hit. Go ahead and roll damage. Nice. I don't know why it says miss. Oh, wait a minute. What'd you do there? You rolled twice? Let me see what you did here.
The public roll did not indicate that it rolled on the first roll and then I rolled again and then it came up.
All right, so you got a 12, right?
I still haven't seen it yet.
Oh, well, it's a public roll. You don't have to do this secretly. It's a public roll. So go ahead and roll it again. Just make another attack. Make sure it's on public so everybody can see it. Got to get used to this again, folks. All right, so you got a 10. All right, you see the arrow sink into the, well, it ricochets off the stone wall above. You missed. Your 3 actions are done. And with that, one of the creatures makes haste, and he's only a few feet away from the hole, and he disappears from sight. Mariandel, you're up next. You're cradling your cat. You just heard a crossbow bolt go whizzing past your head and ricochet off the wall above. You're not sure what's happening, but there seems to be some creatures up there. You can see them clearly with those little glowing fireball orbs. What would you like to do?
Do I identify what the creatures actually are?
Let me hit next. Blah, 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 blah. Mariandel's turn's next. Okay, you're going to make a recall knowledge check using nature. So make a nature check. Go to your skills tab, or it's one of your skills. It's a nature check to try and identify these creatures from what you can see.
Do I do that public or?
Yeah, do that blind. It's a secret check. It's really hard to tell with all these shadows, but you do actually see a tint of blue skin. They almost look like goblins, but in your estimate, they're goblins. They look like goblins to you. But they're obviously not speaking... I don't know, do you speak goblin?
No.
Okay, you wouldn't be able to tell anyway. But as far as you can tell, from what you understand, those are goblins, except they're blue instead of that greenish tint, like your friend Neb. All right, so that took you an action.
Can I do the Scream Tendrils spell.
Go for it. You have 2 actions. Put it in the chat if you can, so we can see what it does. And Anna, if you have to leave, totally understand. Just go for it, and we'll be closing this up pretty soon.
Okay. I can go till 12.
All right. All right, if we look in the chat, we'll see what Grim Tendrils is. Tendrils of darkness curl out from your fingertips and race through the air. Crackling noises erupt. You deal 2d4 negative damage and 1 persistent bleed damage. God, this is nasty. To living creatures in the line. The line? What does that mean? Each living creature in the line must attempt a fortitude save. And then it gives the results of that save. 2 actions to do. Area, 30-foot line. All right, so I assume you're directing this. In this situation, from what you can see, you can only see one of the creatures. One of them escaped out the hole. There's at least 2 more, but they're not in a way that you can hit them both with one line, so you'll get 1 with this.
Okay.
And according to this, let me read it again so I understand this spell. You deal 2d4 negative damage and 1 persistent bleed damage to a living creature in the line. Each living creature in the line must attempt a fortitude save. So they make the fortitude save. All right, the save DC is 17. Let me roll for them. Or for the 1. There's only 1 you're able to hit. Oh, no. All right, I'm going to have to do this manually. I'm really sorry about this, but for some reason... Well, no. Let me just open up their sheet. Nope, it's not opening for me. Well, the DC is 17, so a 7 or less would have been critical. He critically failed this savings throw, which means the creature takes double negative damage and double persistent damage. So go ahead and roll your damage. It's going to be... Just hit that little damage button in the chat. You see where it says damage?
Yeah.
Go ahead and click that if you can.
And do I roll public or?
It can be public.
Okay.
It's public. So we can all see. 8. All right. So you do double that. 8 points of negative damage. As you do that, you hear a scream of pain and horror. And suddenly this body topples from the boards and falls into that mound that's at the bottom that Farley was approaching. Gonna set his lips to take a taste. But this thing just falls right into it. And it makes a splat noise. And it lies motionless. And your turn is done. And with that... Oh, that's the one you killed. All right, so that means Celeste. You just saw this body of this strange small creature fall down, just warped by damage. It just was devastated by whatever the spellcaster did just now. You're up. You have 3 actions. What would you like to do?
So she raises a shield first.
Okay.
And then she approaches the creature.
All right, so that's a stride. You're right next to it. You got 1 more action left.
Okay.
Right above you, there's at least 1 more. You can hear it moving around. And if you peer up, which I assume you are, you can definitely see the blue flesh. It's still a little hiding in the shadows, but it's well lit. It's just not making itself clear because there's boards in the way and cobwebs. You can attack it. You can attack it if you have a ranged attack.
She's going to throw a dart at it.
I'll assume you have one out and ready. Normally it takes an action to get something out, but I'll assume you have one in hand and ready to fling. So go ahead and make an attack with a dart. You're at a range of about 15 since you're right under it.
Okay. What do I roll for that?
Double click your token. Or if you're on the character sheet, I don't know what you're looking at right now.
Actions. Okay. So thrown. So I'm looking at dart. It says thrown 20 feet. Let's see if
Are you on your character sheet?
Yeah.
All right, on your character sheet, from the left, go to the second page. It's called your actions page. Now your dart is equipped, so all you have to do on this page, go down the dart and hit the blue box that says +8. Just hit that.
Oh, okay.
And that should roll for you.
Okay. No.
Oh, and she whips a dart and gets a natural roll of 1 with a +8 is a 9. That is not enough to hit the creature. Yeah. And unfortunately, the dart that you threw cannot be retrieved. It's totally shattered against the stone. So mark yourself off 1 less dart permanently. It's gone. Horrible.
Oh.
All right, and your turn is done. Neb, madness all around you. You see the glorious Celeste rush forward, looking earnestly up into the darkness. But you can see clearly up there. What do? You have 3 actions.
So, was it 1 action to maintain the spell, the dancing light?
Yeah, it's a sustain action. First thing you have to do.
Yeah, sustain. Yeah.
All right, that keeps them lit.
I'll keep it going, and second, I'll take my bow. I have a short bow.
Okay, 1 action.
And if I see any of those creatures quite clearly, I'll let arrows fly.
All right, you get 1 shot, so go ahead and make 1 attack. It's well within your short range, so go for it. Straight up roll. They do have cover, which means their armor class is going to be higher, so they're a little more difficult to hit.
Yeah.
But go for it. 14?
Yeah.
All right, the goblin steps forward and lets loose. Let's fly with one of these arrows as quick as lightning. Quite impressive, Celeste, you think to yourself, as you look over and see the little goblin Neb step forward with an arrow in his hand. He lets it fly, and thunk, it sticks into the wood, one of the timbers that the creatures are on, so it missed. And with that, we're going to go to Farley Tell. You are staring at this mound of, looks like poop. And all of a sudden, this little blue creature lands in it and flattens it out. What do? Celeste is right next to you. You there, Patrick?
Sorry, I was distracted.
If you have to go, just say the word, my friend. It's all right.
Oh no, I think I can stay a little bit longer.
Okay.
So I'm seeing. I can still see the creature, right? It's getting ready to leave.
Yeah, there's 1 more that you can see.
Okay. It's everybody's flinging everything at it, and I sort of take a deep breath, and then undercommon, I'm gonna call out to it, and I'm gonna call out, thanks for the fairy powder. How about a little bit of elven flair to send you on your way?
Yes.
And then I'm gonna cast magic missile.
Okay.
If I can put it in the chat.
Yeah, let's see what that's about. Oh boy, magic missile.
There it is.
You send a dart of force streaking toward a creature that you can see. It automatically hits and deals 1d4 plus 1 force damage. For each additional action you use, it takes 1 to 3 actions to do. And I think, how many actions are you using?
I'm going to use all 3.
All right. For each additional action casting the spell, increase the number of missiles you shoot by 1. So you can hit it 3 times automatically if you want. You choose the target for each missile individually. You can only see the one. If you shoot more than 1 missile at the same target, combine the damage before applying bonuses or penalties to damage, resistance, weakness, so forth. So you'll combine it all. So automatically hits. So go ahead and roll your damage. You hit it. 3 missiles.
3d4 plus 3.
3d4 plus 3, he gets a 10. So there they go. And let's see here. Oh, this hurts. As each of these missiles seem to weave their way around the cobwebs and the wood and whatever's blocking it, you can hear the thing howl, not once, not twice, but 3 times you hear it scream, as obviously the missiles have struck the beast. And it as well slumps down over the wood and breaks it and smashes it. And with that, the body comes down right near the other one that fell. With wood and all. Celeste, you have to dodge a little bit, but you're good at that. And just to get out of the way. And here is another creature just laying there. And suddenly these projectiles that struck it suddenly fade into mist and disappear. The creature dripping in blood oozing from its body. And with that, we can take ourselves out of combat. So I'm going to end this combat because the other one, there's no more in sight. I'm going to end this. So with that, silence fills the room. And you pause for a moment. You don't hear any more sounds from above, no more cackling, no more noises. I'll tell you what, Ramirez... You're are you still outside slightly?
No, I followed Farley into the door.
All right, so you came fully inside and you're watching from like a corner. All right. Okay, so what would you like to do? There doesn't seem to be any more threat in the area. It's all calming down now. You've got 2 motionless creatures in front of you. What would you like to do?
I'm going to motion to Celeste to check the bodies.
I'd like to check out that pile of powder that the fairy dust powder.
Okay. How about you, Neb?
Neb is a bit shaken. He starts off then to check out the bodies of the creatures.
Okay, Mariandal, how about you?
I'm also looking the creatures and also the dust pile. That what might that be or contain?
Okay. And Ramirez, you said you were you doing anything else besides directing folks to check things out? Are you keeping watch or?
Yeah, I'm keeping watch.
All right. Okay, so I'll tell you what I'll do. Where are you keeping watch? You do notice, Ramirez. You notice as you're scanning the room while it's as lit as it is, in the walls there looks like there's arrow slits. little nooks that you could actually hide in if you wanted. But if you look into them, there's actually, you can see outside. And they're all around the walls of this chamber. You do notice that. And go ahead and give me a blind perception check while you're scanning the room. Just as the combat was heating up, right around the time that you launched your attack, you heard something from outside of the building, coming from the right. As that initial creature made its disappearance in the hole in the ceiling, it sounded like it might have escaped somewhere to the right, like it was like there's somehow you heard cackling that was coming through the walls, through the arrow slits, from that direction to your right, the opposite side. So it sounded almost like that creature that escaped was cackling his way to freedom and made his way off to the right of the building. You did hear that.
Well, as my first action, I'm going to reload my crossbow.
Okay. For those checking the pile, you have to kind of push the bodies away, but it's... You can easily tell what this is. This is a pile of dung. And it stinks bad. You wouldn't want to be eating this. But obviously, it probably came from these creatures. As far as the creatures themselves, Celeste, go ahead and make a recall knowledge nature check to try and identify these beasts.
Where do I find that?
This would be under your skills. It's just a nature check. Find your nature skill and then just click it. It'll be under skills on your character sheet. My HUD isn't displaying anymore, so I can't help you with that. For some reason, it's not not working here today.
I don't know if she has nature. She has warfare lore. Let me see here. Oh, nature. Okay, she has +1. Okay, click on that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then public roll.
All right, you'll have to roll it again because it's a blind roll. Sorry, my bad. You rolled a nice 17, too. It's a blind roll.
Oh.
You're not supposed to see the result.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be hard on you today. Okay. You've never seen this creature before. Although it's similar to a goblin, you doubt it's a goblin, but it definitely, the blue skin is throwing it off. And it actually looks a little smaller than Neb, so not necessarily a goblin. Doesn't look like Neb. So, in your opinion, it's probably not a goblin, but you don't know what it is. Was anyone else checking the bodies? Go ahead, Celeste.
Oh, the one that... She's checking out the one that was dead?
Mm-hmm.
One dead?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the one in the ceiling had ran away?
Mm-hmm. There's 2 bodies in front of you, laying here in this pile. The third one, you estimated there was at least 3, made an escape out that little hole, but you can clearly see, if you look up, you'll see you can just see the sky above with the clouds through this little hole. It looks about maybe 1.5 feet around. So this little creature snuck out that hole, you think. Made good its escape. Or maybe it's waiting up there. Who knows? But you can't identify these creatures. Was anyone else... Go ahead.
is probably going to shit on us.
Was anyone else looking at the bodies? Mary Andal, were you or?
Yes, I was looking also at the bodies.
Neb as well.
I'm going to step out and poke my head out the door and see if I can see the creature.
Okay, 1 second. Who initially checked to identify the bodies? Was it you, Mary Andal?
Yes.
Yeah, and you thought it was a goblin. So,
Yeah.
Neb, go ahead and make a nature check to see if you can identify these creatures.
Just a second. Ooh, -1.
Oh, yeah, all right.
Did you get that roll?
You definitely can tell they're not goblins. These are a fey creature known as gremlins. They're a type of gremlin, I should say. That's what you glean from looking them over. Like, I've seen these creatures before. I've heard of them before. Something like that. And it's a type of fey creature known as a gremlin, or a type of gremlin. There's all kinds of gremlins. This perhaps is one of them. That's what you're getting out of this. And as a fey creature, it's probably highly magical. So you did figure that out. But you feel slightly offended and let down that folks would think it was a goblin. Ugh, these are terrible creatures.
They have nothing to do with me.
There you go. Now, if anybody was poking around the poop any more than usual, please let me know.
I'm not poking around in the poop, but
Okay.
the moment we're done investigating those bodies,
Okay.
let me know, because I want to do something.
Uh-oh. God. What are you thinking?
Oh,
Okay.
I'll explain it when we're done.
All right, so I guess you guys are done exploring the bodies. You didn't find anything on them. They just got a little cloth, little loincloth type of thing. No weapons or anything. That's about it.
Okay.
And what were you doing, Ramirez? You said something there. Oh, he stepped out. Oh,
yeah, I
you-
just stepped outside the door to check behind us.
Yeah. You don't hear or see anything at this point. Coast is clear. What would you like to do?
For clarification,
Yes.
the people that saw the light, was it at like the top of the watchtower, or was it like, could we like identify like where at this tower it was, like what level?
From Otari itself, it's relatively hard to see the lighthouse, but from certain locations you can see it quite easily. And for instance, Rin has a pretty good view of it, the top of it. And the part that was glowing was the actual top of the lighthouse, where back in the day when it worked as a functioning lighthouse, that's where there'd be light at the very top, warning ships and all this other stuff. That's where the glow was emanating from. It shouldn't be. It's all ruins now. But that's where it was coming from. Now you guys, if you can imagine, there's like this little fortress that surrounds the lighthouse, and it's all in ruins. Caved in, fallen down. Most of the walls are like maybe 10, 12 feet high. There's an exception here and there, something a little higher than that, like 15 or 20 feet. These buildings that surround it. That's basically what it looks like. So it was a lighthouse surrounded by a small fortress, essentially, that's now in ruins. You're located in this little watchtower that's kind of in front of it all. The actual lighthouse itself is if you just keep going north, keep going straight forward, you'll walk right into the lighthouse. That's where it is in relation to your current location.
Okay.
I should have clarified that.
Yeah. Yeah, so after we're done investigating the bodies, I'm gonna use my cantrip telekinetic projectile. I'm gonna fling those bodies straight into their own poo. I'm gonna flip out on their corpses.
Okay. Let me see if I can give you a map image of what all this looks like. Just to give you context from the beginning. I think that might help a little bit. Let me bring you over to my map. La da 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 da. Okay, so let me open this door for you. I think the game's still paused, right? It should be. There, now it is. Let me move you. Celeste, I'll move you into the room, in the middle of the room. Miranda, I'll move you in as well. Farley, tell. Let me bring the torch in. You guys probably can't see anything. And lastly... boom. Now if you click on your tokens, you should be able to see. Let me get Ramirez in there. He can't see anything out here. This is what the room looks like. That little pile is in the northwest corner. You can just make it out. There's a chair there in the opposite corner. There's little arrow slits. Let me unpause the game so you can actually move your tokens, but don't go outside the room, please. So if you want to look around, just click your token and use the arrow keys. Whee! So you could like peek out the arrow slits. Kind of get a feel for it. Let me turn on your torch, Celeste.
Oh, thank you.
And let me get rid of this torch. We don't need this anymore. There's too much light in here. There. And Neb, I should ask you, are you still sustaining that spell? Because you could. That's up to you.
Yep, Neb is still sustaining.
Alright, that's a lot of light then. So this is a visual of the room itself. You came in through the south door. To the north is another door. Let me lock it so you can't get through until you're ready. Get rid of these. So as you peek around, you're surrounded by swamp. Does anyone want to head to the other door? I'll keep us on this map. And
Yes,
let you see
but I'm gonna.
things.
Yes, I'm going to head to the other door, but I'm going to examine it for traps.
Yes, we are in the notes that prevented us from moving. What is that? Alright, let me pause. Let me pause. You guys are frozen now. Alright, Ramirez, while the other guys are looking around, peering around this place, you head up to these other doors. And once again, they're fairly easy to push open. Let me unlock it and open it. And as you do so, I believe you can see up there now, right? You should be able to see beyond the door.
I see beyond the door. I see another door down the hallway.
Now, what's in front of you is actually something akin to a drawbridge. A wooden drawbridge, its timbers gray with age and decay, spans the 20-foot gap between the outbuilding, where you are now, and the sprawling ruin which is on the island. So it's surrounded by water. Rusty iron chains hang from the ruin's northern wall to the drawbridge's southern side. The chains look ready to fall apart, however, giving the drawbridge's structural integrity an extra layer of dubiousness. Celeste, I'll move you up next to Ramirez so you can see what's going on up there.
Okay.
I'll bring you up here as well. Farley, bring up Mary. You should all be able to see now. Neb, you have dark vision, so does Mariandel. You should have a quite clear view to the opposite side.
Hey,
Go ahead, Farley.
yeah, Alan, I gotta head out now.
All right. If you guys want to call it here, and we'll pick up at this little kind of a cliffhanger, we could do that because it is getting late for Celeste.
Okay. Yeah, that's good with me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think this would be a perfect place to leave this session.
Yes.
For real quick clarification, is the drawbridge already like down and ready to cross?
It's already down. It looks very decrepit and rotting, and the chains holding it look very brittle, like they're gonna break. So it doesn't look like a safe thing to cross, but you could try. But we'll save that for the next exciting episode, number 2. Yeah. All right. So yeah,
It was so much fun getting back to this game.
yeah, we're gonna call it there, folks. I'm gonna turn off the stream now. Everybody say goodbye. Toodaloo.
Hey, thank you guys. It was fun.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye.
Okay, hold on. Don't nobody leave yet.